Welcome. I am Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers. Okay, I'm trying to get a point of focus on this device, and so in case my eyes don't look like I'm really talking to you, so it's because I'm still trying to find a point of where I'm meant to be focusing on. Okay, and it seemed like it's really off screen somehow. Okay. And so basically, I have done a couple videos on black white entrapment, and it has been a subject that has been close to my heart in a sense of my discovery of finding or seeing a mathematical formula that seemed to have been used, or that is being used really, that it is really giving an explanation of why many of us are continuing to eat junk food, or continuing unhealthy habits, because we have fallen into a certain trap, a trap of agreement, a trap of agreement. So basically it had followed or taken on the path or the same structure of the communion that Christ had with his disciples when at the table. So it would be that ritual that had taken place when Christ had said, when you take of this bread, in fact, he broke of the bread, which is very important to note. It's the breaking of bread. So it's like saying break free. The number free is that number that is seeking to break free all the time. It's seeking partnership in a sense of its freedom. It is free, or although it is free, which equals freedom as well, but it's also seeking partnership in its own way, partnership with someone or something else that it can identify with. And that's what has happened, that bread equals the number 21. When we add 2 plus 1 together, that gives us 3. And likewise, we have that as woman, which I say woman in this case because it is also said that Christ on the cross said, well, I am no man, and of course I am a worm. So the word worm as well equals 6. Let's just double check worm, just to ensure that I am giving the right information. So we had worm, WORM, so right here, and this is 5, 6, 9, 4. When we add this together here, 4 and plus 9, 4 plus 9 is 13, plus 6 is 17, 18, 19, 23. Oh, worm is 23. Let's see. WORM. Now that's interesting. Of course it is, because the worm, yes, it is. So this is 15, 20, 24. No, it's 24. It's 24. 2 plus 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. However, it still is the same. It's that saying that the worm is able to traverse from place to place, because it is very flexible. It can get into the whole or the core of anything. So it's no wonder it is said we have so many worms as well, which is not the thought we really want to entertain. But it also is that it's synonymous with the snake, if we say, for instance, because the word snake equals 5. So 5 is, of course, Eve. Now we have Eve, which is the main theme of these presentations that we are talking about, because Eve is the mother of all living. That's what, in fact, Adam scripturally had called his wife. So we have seen that worm equals 6, which is central to each of the three. 6 is central to each of the three columns or cycles that we go through. I'm trying to get used to this camera here. So bear with me, and I know the lights are probably I was going to say a distortion in this case, but let's see. Okay. So 6 is really central to each of the three sections that or cycles on this template of sacrifice. Now, another way that we need to look at sacrifice, we see the first 3 letters here is sac. And I covered this very early on in my presentations, where I saw that the sac was really the breast. So basically the first cycle here, we see as if Christ was basically nurturing his disciples here in this. It's giving the it is like the end, the middle, or the beginning of here, and although 5 is beginning really, so we should say not 5, 9, because we are working backward. And that is what talking about backward, that Mother Eve wants us to know, that we really need to be like counting backward now. We should be counting backward. So really 9 is not the strongest number in the sense of if you had 9 pounds, which is, we are living in this mirror image of the reality, we could say. So we value 9 pounds much more than 1 pound. But this is the weight that is pulling us away. It is like the magnet of that weight that weighs us down and not rise or feel that sense of lightness that we can rise up to. This is why now we need to unpack ourselves of the weight that no longer serves us. And in fact, I came across something that said that people don't use 70% of what they have, which made sense. So basically, we tend to wear the same pair of shoes all the time. We sleep on the same side of the bed all the time. We use the same cup all the time. But yet we want to know that we have 6 cups instead of having 1. Whereas we can only use 1 at a time. So you can see the essence of what I'm saying here. So going back to the ritual that I was talking about, the ritual happens here in number 2, in this stage here. It happens in number 2. Of course, there is 6 here because it's a representation of who is having those rituals. And we could see that there were 12 disciples, of course, 2 6s right here. And of course, Christ would have been 13 at the table. Now, I keep saying that because I believe in, I need to keep abreast, or keep people abreast with the template, this sacrifice template. So, of course, the word sacrifice have been, when I started this, the word sacrifice had not rang nice to me. I didn't really quite associate myself or really want to be associated with the element of sacrifice, even if we all exercise and experience sacrifice at some stage. But there I am saying that there are phenomenal lessons in this for us to learn. So basically, sacrifice have 9 letters, which comes under the 9 numbers, and it offers us, as I say, 3 segments here of 3 cycles. We can see why in the story of Christ the number 3 too was so prevalent. So number 3, and we also learn about the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and so on. Okay, that's for another subject or another presentation. But going back to the description of the cycle, we see SAC, hair, is really the sac. Now it also adds to number 6, which is central to our being and our makeup. It's the number of man. It's the number of man because it also we were created on the 6th day, we are told, and that meant everything that was ever created had been a construct. We are a construct of everything that was created, basically, on the 6th day. And of course, there's another thing that the word name that we are given, if you like, we use the word name. And I need to also make to check about name, NAME, also, which everyone has names. So NAME, which I'm going to get back to. This is 5 4 1 5. So this is 10, it's 15. When we add 1 plus 5, that gives us 6. It gives us 6. 1 plus 5 is 6. And so we can see how we also have that 6 in that context. But I will be doing a presentation on name, which is very important that we learn this, or we become familiar with it. I'm sure we all do know it. So basically, the ritual happens here. I had encountered a very insightful explanation why we have that BKT here, or how the BKT have been used there, apart from the bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken or the basket of bread, which Christ had baskets of bread and fed the multitude. So that we are talking about multitude. This was another very significant story for us to explore. So in feeding the multitude, and of course they did not want to go home. We are told that they really wanted to be there. That's the power of A. That's the power of 2. And it's the power of 6. It's also the power of E, which is Mother Eve. And so when we do add these, of course, this is how we get 6 here, BKT, because it has the numerical value of 2. 2 is partnership, 2 is agreement and marriage, and 2 is agreement. As I say, it is partnership, it is duality, it is nothing will happen without there being another something. So it has to be 2. So something apart from, of course, the snake that has its ability to move, we can see that, but once it moves, then it creates. That's why it is said that the Spirit of God moved. Once that spirit, because S is spirit, meaning here as well, we see the S as spirit. It's also the serpent, it's also the snake, and it's Mother Eve. So this spirit moved, and once it moved, it created 2. So of course 2 and the word moved is also 5. So this is where we can see Mother Eve in that sense became life. In that movement was life. Wow. It's that more I do these presentations, it's the more I seem to get closer to the bone of truth in that sense. It's like, it's as if I don't need to have all the teachings of the Old Testament to get the picture of the word moved and life. So the spirit in this presentation, for instance, spirit, which is the S, and I have associated that wherever we see S, we are directly connected with the said God, which is Mother Eve, the serpent, the snake that we are talking about. And I don't mean this in the way that we have learned the stories, because the snake or the serpent is moving, and once there is that movement, of course, there is where creation comes into being. The other thing that we want to be very mindful of, and I'm going to try and end this presentation on here, is that the said God that I've just mentioned in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 3 is where the said God begins to speak. The said God had moved. She is both male and female. She is number 5. She has that, she is the two hemispheres in our brains. So she is the masculine and she's also the feminine. So she's having this dialogue, you could say. She is able to have that dialogue and move and speak things into being. This is how we learn it. So she's able to say to the brain, to one side of a brain, for instance, or the left side of emotion, of that movement, that watery side, let us make man in our own image and likeness. She's able to have that communication with the left side of her brain. I want to feel alive. I want to feel love. I want to feel I want to express myself. I want to understand that expression. But going closer, as I say, as we go saying all this, it is going even closer, yet closer to the fact that what Genesis has showed us is that we were not the first set of beings or man in essence. We were not the first man on earth. There had been whether it was a genocide, which of course we see the word Genesis, genocide, more or less the same. There had been like the flood of Noah, and it would have been something like that had happened. One of those gods, like in the gods of Genesis chapter 2, for instance. It would be interesting to know what perhaps one of those gods were responsible or had done something that was adverse to what was existing at the time, and there was just water. There was a mire, but water knew itself. It had the memory, which we know about memory now. It had the memory of what it was and what is. Hence it is said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was, meaning there was past tense, the Word was God, and the Word is God. So we see that there is the beginning and the end, which is 5 and 9. So beginning is 9 and 5 is end. So that was the two coming together. Hence in the Bible, the first word is in, which also is the representation of the letter I and N, and which is 9, 5. So we are talking about 95. 95. But now it is that we are being asked to look at 59. We are being asked to look at 59. Go up to find ourselves here in the new. This is like Christians would tell you, to accept Christ, you become a new creature. So this is where we are being advised to get into this section, get into the know-how, get into the mouth, which is also the waters. Because why is the mouth waters? It is that which speaks, because words are waters. Words is that which flow. You can say words and it just goes out into the air, into the universe. The word. And we could see word also equals 6. And of course, 6 is right here as well. We have the 3 6s here again. So do join me, because this is really a very it's sort of a new angle, we could say, of teaching a lesson or teaching or showing what directions we are meant to be taking now. We are meant to unpack ourselves of things that no longer serve us or the higher self, and to enter into number 5 so we can begin the new cycle which Mother Eve had spoken about, that we get into the number 8. The 8. We are ending this 7 and we are moving into 8. This is where we eat of the fruit of good and evil. The fruit